back to March 1929, when the process first gave immigrants the opportunity to live permanently in the United States. While the provision has been updated several times in history, the current date, set in 1986 under then President Reagan, is no longer fulfilling its intended purpose. The cutoff date for eligibility of January 1st, 1972 is too far in the past to be relevant for millions of immigrants living and contributing in our communities. The bill being reintroduced today updates the immigration registry, allowing up to 8 million immigrants to apply for immediate permanent residency. And in this bill, the requirement is rolling, meaning that as we move forward in time, so does the registry date. Almost all immigrants, regardless of how they entered the country, may apply if they meet the 7-year rule. At a time when we're seeing a proposed asylum ban and reports that the Biden administration is considering reviving the idea of detaining asylum-seeking families in detention facilities, now more than ever, we need Congress to step up and fight for us. We need Congress to prioritize immigrants and give us the security we've yearned for all this time. Updating the immigration registry is part of the solution to reforming our immigration system. Today, we are joined by our partners here in Washington, D.C., our allies who could not make it today but are in their hometowns celebrating the bill's reintroduction. Please listen to the testimonies of members of our community who are affected and take their calls for change to heart. And we strive to live our values and ideals. This country also needs to remember that immigrants, with our talent and contributions, made much of it possible, and we need to recognize, value, and integrate them fully into our society. Y ahora brevemente en español. Buenos días, mi nombre es Angélica Salas, soy la directora de CHIRLA, la Coalición de Derechos Humanos del Inmigrante, la organización más grande de inmigrantes en California. Hoy presentamos por segunda vez el proyecto de ley Renovación de Provisiones Migratorias a la Ley de Inmigración de 1929, que actualiza el registro y podría abrirle las puertas a la legalización que tanto hemos anhelado para casi 8 millones de inmigrantes que podrían aplicar a la residencia permanente. La regla más importante para poder calificar es haber vivido continuamente en este país por 7 años. Y en ese proyecto hace la regla que se adelante según la fecha, para que no tengamos que seguir actualizando el registro. We are so grateful to our congressional champions. Agradecemos a nuestros campeones congresistas, all 6 of them, who are our lead authors. California's own Representative Zoe Lofgren and Representative Norma Torres, Representative Grace Meng from New York, and of course our 3 amigos, Representatives Luke Correa, Chuy Garcia, and Adriano Espaillat, who have kept the needs of our undocumented immigrants always front and center. And I want to make sure that everybody who is listening, everybody here, and everybody who is listening today, we want you to understand we will never give up fighting for the legalization that our families deserve. We will not stop coming to Congress and walking these halls and talking to our legislators until our families win immigration reform and that this registry is updated. They have contributed and lived in this country far too long. Their children are here. Their grandchildren are here. They deserve for the registry law to be updated immediately. So now, first, I would like to proudly introduce Representative Lofgren, who represents California's 18th District and who has been a staunch advocate of immigration reform, immigration justice, and of the updating of the registry. Welcome, Representative Lofgren.
Well, thank you so very much, and thanks to CHIRLA and all the other advocates for never giving up on the cause of reforming America's immigration laws. As was mentioned, this bill simply reflects the need to update a part of the immigration law that has been on the books since 1929, hardly a new or radical idea. You know, our colleagues across the aisle engage in political stunts, going to the border. They decry disorder at the border, and honestly, I am concerned about disorder at the border. That situation serves no one. So how do we fix it? You fix it by reforming the laws so that people can conform. Part of that is making sure that people who have been here a long time and are of good character have an opportunity to fully contribute to the United States of America. That's in America's interests. And of course, we have people who've been here without their papers for many years. We also have people who are here in a legal status with visas whose priority date is so out of reach 20, 30, 40 years from now that they will never be able to transfer from a legal temporary status to a legal permanent status. That's not in America's interest either. So this is part of a large effort to make sure that we, as Americans, fully benefit from the energy and the commitment and the patriotism of people who want to be Americans like us, as part of a broader plan to make sure that people who are seeking work, and we have help wanted signs all across America, have an opportunity to come legally and do that and earn some money to support their families at home, to process those who are seeking asylum, which is part of American immigration law, in a way that is orderly and safe for them. And yes, there are some bad people. There are cartels who are involved in the border. We need to go after those guys. So we need a sensible plan to get control of a situation that serves no one. And this is part of that. Thank you so much. We'll never give up on America and this bill.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, no.
Thank you. And certainly she has never given up on the immigrant community. So thank you so much, Congresswoman Logfriend. She is a true champion in Congress. Next, I would like to introduce Ursula, a CHIRLA member from California, originally from Guatemala. Ursula podría arreglar con esta ley. Bienvenida, Ursula.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Úrsula. Soy miembro de CHIRLA y vengo a hablar de la realidad de muchas familias en California y a través de los Estados Unidos. Huí de Guatemala junto a mi familia a causa de la violencia y encontré refugio en los Estados Unidos, donde he vivido por los últimos 16 años. Estoy aquí porque viví en carne propia el miedo a la separación familiar. Mi esposo fue detenido por las autoridades de inmigración en el 2018 y pasó 8 meses encarcelado en la prisión de Adelanto. Mi hijo mayor sufrió el mismo destino. De no ser por el trabajo de CHIRLA, mi familia hubiera sido separada y mi esposo y mi hijo hubieran regresado a una muerte segura. Aunque hemos encontrado la seguridad y la prosperidad que nuestro país no nos dio, no puedo dejar de sentir culpa por encerrar a mis hijos en una jaula de oro. Todos mis hijos viven la realidad que yo vivo a diario. Ninguno de ellos calificó para DACA y he visto cómo mis sueños y también el de ellos y su futuro se han limitado por no tener un estatus migratorio permanente. Ellos tienen que trabajar los mismos trabajos que yo he trabajado, ganar el mismo sueldo que yo he ganado, vivir las mismas penas que yo he vivido y vivo. A pesar de que pagamos impuestos y contribuimos a este país y nos integramos para mejorar a nuestra comunidad, vivimos con miedo, con incertidumbre y con sueños rotos. Días como hoy, cuando se presenta una propuesta de ley que si fuera aprobada nos daría la libertad, seguridad y reconocimiento, me hace sentir un poco de esperanza, me hace soñar con una vida mejor para mí y mi familia, así como para todas las familias indocumentadas y mixtas, y para un país al que verdaderamente puedo llamar mi casa. Gracias.
Gracias. Do a quick translation. Good morning. My name is Ursula Hidalgo. I'm a member of CHIRLA, and I'm here to talk about the reality of many families in California and throughout the United States. I fled Guatemala with my family because of violence and found refuge in the United States, where I have lived for 16 years. I'm here because I experienced firsthand the fear of family separation. My husband was detained by immigration authorities in 2018 and spent 8 months incarcerated in the Adelanto prison. My eldest son also suffered the same fate. If not for the work of Chirla, my family would have been separated, and my husband and son would have returned to certain death. Although we have found the security and prosperity that our country did not give us, I cannot help but feel guilty for locking my children in a gilded cage. All my children live the reality that I live daily. None of them qualified for DACA, and I have seen how their dreams and their future have been limited by not having a permanent immigration status. They have to work the same jobs that I have worked, earn the same salary that I earn, live the same sorrows that I live. And despite the fact that we pay taxes, we contribute to this country, and we integrate by collaborating to improve our community, we live in fear, with uncertainty, with broken dreams. Days like today, when a bill is presented that, if approved, would give us freedom, security, and recognition, make me feel hopeful. They make me dream of a better life for me and my family, and for all the undocumented and mixed status families, and for a country that I can truly call my home. Muchas gracias, Ursula. Now I would like to introduce Representative Norma Torres, who represents the 35th Congressional District of California and is one of 2 Guatemalans serving in Congress. She is a true champion, has supported us for so many years. Welcome, Representative Norma Torres.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. My story is just a little different than Ursula's story. Who could imagine that a little girl could come from Guatemala and ultimately be able to become a U.S. citizen, get elected to their city council, be elected mayor, be elected to the state assembly, be elected to the state senate, and ultimately, yes, it took me 14 years to get to Congress, but that is 2 years shorter than what it has taken her to trying to get her immigration status to a legal status. The difference between Ursula and me is that in 1970, there was an opportunity for people like me to be able to become legal residents and ultimately get our citizenship in this great country. When our founding fathers imagined what America would be like, they certainly envisioned a pathway for the hard-working immigrants that came to America, whether it was back then or now. 7 years to have to wait, paying taxes, being a frontline worker, no matter what pandemic or no pandemic that we see in front of us. These people report to work every single day, and every paycheck and every time they go to a store to purchase goods, they pay taxes. There isn't a greater injustice of taxation without representation than what these workers go through. We cannot continue to exploit workers and demand another hour of hard work, of hard labor, and not recognize that they cannot continue to live in the shadows, that they deserve to come out of the shadows and be embraced as the Americans that they have become as part of our community. When I first approached Representative Zoe Lofgren with this bill, we were dreaming and thinking about a bigger legislation reform bill. So this bill was sort of put in the background as we explored bigger opportunities. My opinion is that we should never put anything on the background, because we know that in this Congress, they have failed to recognize the labor, the hard work, and all of the things that immigrants have given back to this country. And I hope that in the 118th Congress, we could recognize that finally these workers, as help wanted signs continue to go up across America, that we finally recognize them and give them the dignity that they deserve. So thank you, Congresswoman Lofgren. Thank you to all of you for being here. Muchas gracias a todos por estar aquí. Mi historia no es muy diferente de la historia de Úrsula. La diferencia es que en el 1970 tuve yo una oportunidad no solo a llegar a este país de Guatemala, pero también a poder ser una residente legal y después poder ser una ciudadana. Así que la misma oportunidad que yo tuve, queremos que todos esos trabajadores que han demostrado que esta es su patria y que ellos no se van a ir de aquí, es tiempo de darles una oportunidad. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Norma Torres. Next, another of our California champions. It is my honor to introduce Representative Lou Correa, a representative from Orange County, representing California's 46th district. Representative Lou Correa has stood with the immigrant community for decades, as a representative in our state, and then now representing his district here in Congress. Welcome, Representative Correa.
Muchas gracias, mi gran amiga. Congressman Lou Correa, representing Orange County, California. First, I want to thank my colleagues, especially Zoe Lofgren, for leading the charge in this piece of legislation that's so important. What's the problem? What are we trying to fix? We're trying to keep the United States of America as the greatest economy in the world. We want to make sure America continues to lead. What is the challenge? We need workers. We need more scientists in Silicon Valley. We need more computer programmers. We need more cyber experts. We need more farm workers. Solution? Very simple solution. A solution that's been in the books since 1929. We just want to simply update a date on that registry. Very simple. We're talking about giving hard-working taxpayers the opportunity to adjust their status. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen, today, about 50% of our farm workers are undocumented. Are you kidding me? The people who feed us, do you want to deport them? Food processors across the country, the same thing. Enough is enough. Let's keep America as the greatest economy, the greatest nation in the world, and let's give these law-abiding taxpayers the opportunity to win, to pursue the American dream. Amigos y amigas, hoy aquí estamos simplemente para buscar justicia. Buscamos que el trabajo con y sin documentos se respete en los Estados Unidos. ¿Por qué? Porque eso es lo correcto. Estamos aquí para trabajar, para enriquecer esta gran patria de los Estados Unidos, nuestra nueva patria. Queremos justicia, queremos la oportunidad de ser norteamericanos. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you heard it from our representative, enough is enough. Now I would like to introduce Ingrid, an immigrant from Bolivia representing one of the most powerful organizations of women, Moms Rising, Mamás con Poder. Ingrid would also qualify for a green card under registry. Adelante, Ingrid.
Good morning. My name is Ingrid. I live in Virginia. I am a proud member of Mom Rising, Mamás con Poder. My family came to this country in 2000 when my boys were 5 and 7. Now they are in their 20s. Thanks to DACA, they went to college and are working and living productive lives, contributing to their countries and to our country every day. They are American in every way that matters. I am an undocumented mother
I too am an American in all the ways that matters. Under renewed immigration provision of the Immigration Act of 1929, which is being reintroduced in the United States House of Representatives today, will give my sons and me the chance to get on pathway to citizenship. The registry was created nearly 100 years ago, and while it has been modified several times, our country hasn't updated it in nearly 50 years. That has left immigrants like myself, who have been continuously present in the United States, contribute every day in the shadows. The registry is cut off. They need to be updated again, so that moms like me, who have been in this country for more than 20 years, can apply for green cards. Some 8 million people would benefit from an update. We have been contributing tirelessly to our community. By every day, I am in fear of having my life and my son's lives. Their life we built here, rip it away. This is our home. We love this country, and I want to feel free here. While this bill will help put my sons and me on pathway to citizenship, one of the important pieces for me is also the freedom to travel. My own mother passed away 2 years ago, and on this day I have not been able to go to Bolivia and personally deliver flowers to her resting place. If I left now without an update to the registry, I will never be able to see my sons here in the United States again. I know many other families have similar stories. Updating registry, a law that is already in place, is a simple solution that will make a big difference to us individuals, to our communities, and to our economy. I hope Congress will pass this bill quickly. It matters a lot, lots of moms like me. Creo que el derecho humano a cualquier persona es vivir y sentirse libre en el lugar donde está viviendo y donde está contribuyendo. Y creo que este es el momento que todas las personas deberían estar junto con nosotros, ponerse en nuestros zapatos, ponerse en nuestra situación, para que se den cuenta que realmente nosotros también, más que nada como seres humanos, necesitamos vivir en libertad, necesitamos salir de las sombras y necesitamos salir de esa jaula de oro. Muchas gracias. Gracias.
Muy bien dicho.
Muchas gracias, Ingrid. Now I would like to introduce Representative Meng, representing New York's 6th District, currently serving as the first Vice Chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, known as CAPAC.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Grace Meng from Queens, New York. I want to thank Chirla and all the members, like Ingrid, for sharing your touching story with common sense solutions that we are presenting here today. First, I want to thank Ranking Member Lofgren for your leadership in this effort to update our registry law, and of course recognize my colleagues, Representatives Garcia, Torres, Correa, and Espaillat, for their leadership and advocacy on this issue. As the most diverse county in the country, Queens is known as our world's borough and has become home to people from all across the globe. The immigrant communities in Queens and around the nation have spent decades contributing to our nation, our culture, and economy. However, our broken immigration system has left these communities in legal limbo without certainty that they would ever get permanent legal status. And it is time that that changes. Updating the registry law is a common sense solution that will help millions of people by providing lawful permanent status to immigrants who have been living and working in our country for years. Immigrants have made and continue to make our nation what it is today. Congressional action is long overdue. Individuals who want to become new Americans have been forced to bear the burden of our broken immigration system for way too long. I'm proud to help introduce this bill that would rectify this wrong and provide a pathway to permanent status for millions of Americans who have been here for a long time. So thank you, Chirla, for all your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Representative Meng, for your tireless leadership for immigrant justice. Now, it is my pleasure to now introduce Representative Chuy Garcia, who represents Illinois' 4th District. And while he represents Illinois' 4th District, I also consider him my own representative. We're both immigrants from Durango, Mexico, and from the same region of Durango, to that matter. So it's with great pride that I introduce him today.
Gracias, Angela. Gracias, paisana. Good morning to all. I came to this country in 1965 to reunite with my father, came with my mom and my 2 siblings. And at that time, immigration laws were still reasonable. It was still relatively easy to get a green card and to be able to come and study and work and contribute to our economy. But things have changed over several decades, and immigration laws became more restrictive, more discriminatory, more harsher, and have resulted in the exploitation of many people. The current situation at the border is a reflection of that. A broken immigration system that needs to be addressed. The registry law is the simplest way for Congress to act to modernize immigration laws, to enable people who are here, who are working, who are studying, who are contributing, who are relatives of U.S. citizens and other permanent residents, to live in freedom, to continue to work, but they'll also have the opportunity to pursue their dreams and aspirations. And that's all that we are asking for today. You hear their voices in the voices of Ursula and Ingrid. They are the affected. That is who is motivating members of Congress to act in this Congress. This is the simplest way to bring about immigration reform and relief to over 8 million people who could benefit from this. These are people that we know. These are people who have conducted themselves in the best way that Americans do. These are people who, by any standard, are really good Americans. And all we ask for is for their normalization, their ability to live free from fear, free from exploitation, and a recognition that they are contributing to the well-being of this nation. And that's why today we are introducing the registry law update. It's commonsensical, it's good for America, and it demonstrates that we have compassion and that we respond to the realities of today's nation and nation building. That's why I am a proud co-sponsor with my colleagues. Muy buenos días. Esta mañana estamos aquí para declarar la reintroducción de una reforma migratoria la más sencilla y la más fácil para realizar, porque solo reconoce que hay 8 millones de personas en los Estados Unidos que están contribuyendo a la nación, que nos corresponde en el interés de la nación legalizarlos, darles una vía a conseguir su residencia permanente y también la ciudadanía. No son extranjeros, son familiares nuestros. Los escuchan en las voces de Ingrid y de Úrsula. Son personas que contribuyen, que estudian, que trabajan, que nos dan de comer, que cuidan a nuestros niños, que cuidan a la gente de la tercera edad, a las personas que tienen discapacidades. Son americanos en toda su esencia. Lo único que carecen es una ley que les permita la normalización, la integración y que les permita vivir sin temor les permita seguir trabajando y contribuyendo y construyendo el futuro y el presente de nuestra nación. Por eso hoy me da gran gusto acompañar a mis colegas y a toda la gente que viene aquí a pedirle a la Cámara de Representantes y al Congreso actuar para que nuestra gente deje de vivir en temor y en sufrimiento. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Representante Chuy Garcia. Thank you so very much for your leadership. Your voices, the voices of Ursula and Ingrid, and those affected by these laws, speak the truth. Today we see our congressional champions respond with the reintroduction of this bill. 150 organizations have endorsed the renewing immigration provisions of the Immigration Act of 1929 as of today, and the list keeps growing. This is a type of legislation that has broad appeal and that the American people would get behind. Now we need the leadership and the political will to make it a reality. Esta propuesta de ley es la esperanza de nuestro pueblo inmigrante y tiene que hacerse ley. We often talk about the 11 million, the 8 million. We want to talk about the 8 million people, the 11 million people in this country. Their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents. They have deep roots. They've lived in this country longer than they've even lived in their country of origin. What are we waiting for? We can't wait any longer. And what we want every member of Congress and what we want the president to know is that we are going to keep fighting for freedom, because that is what our families need. And that is what this country is about. It's about our freedom, and it's about our ability to live like human beings deserve to live. Muchas gracias, and thank you all for being here. And I don't know if there are any questions from the press. Sí.
What's the strategy to get the votes, and in what timeline?
Okay. So I'll start, but then I'm also pass it to any of our members who would want to speak. The first thing that I want you to understand is that if we do not bring a piece of legislation that speaks about legalization and the undocumented who live in this country, then we are invisible, just like we're invisible in the rest of this nation. We're invisible in Congress. We use this legislation to uplift our stories, our realities, and to talk to all the members of Congress, the freshmen who have just arrived, many who have never engaged in this process, and to get their support. There are members in the Republican Party, their margin is very small, that have supported other legislation, many who are from our states. So we are working bipartisan. This is a solution that America needs. So we are not giving up, and we are fighting against all the odds, and we're willing to take that fight on because our families deserve it. Their stories deserve to be heard here. Para nosotros lo más importante es de que si nosotros no traemos una pieza legislativa al Congreso, nuestras historias y nuestras realidades son invisibles. De lo único que se habla son de todas las cosas horribles que se hablan de nosotros. Nosotros tenemos que tener una pieza legislativa que habla de la esperanza que tenemos, pero que haya soluciones para nuestra comunidad. Estamos hablando con todos los nuevos miembros del Congreso de ambos partidos, porque nosotros sentimos que es importante tener nuevos campeones, pero también hablar con todo el resto del Congreso para recordarles que nosotros vamos a pelear en contra de todo para que podamos vivir en este país con libertad y con la justicia que merecemos. Muchas gracias. And I don't know if there's any other.
Given the anti-immigrant rhetoric of the Republicans in this country, you're right to question how will we move this bill forward, and to say that it is anything but upheld would not be correct. However, every other year, every member of the House of Representatives faces a rehiring decision. And right now, the Republicans are trying to blame the president for disorder at the border, and to say that the only solution is to militarize further the border. In fact, it's Congress's fault that there's that disorder at the border, because we have failed to reform the immigration laws so that people who are fleeing violence in Guatemala, who are fleeing communism in Venezuela, can have their legitimate claims authorized and reviewed in an orderly way that isn't a mess at the border, so that people who are seeking funds, who want work, can come in a legal way, work, earn their money, and go home. Not everyone who needs a job wants to become an American. And then also to deal with the people who've built up in this country who, when we had two signs at the border, one said no trespassing, the other said help wanted. And people responded to that second sign and have kept our economy working. So I think as the message goes out, voters are in the end going to make the decision. And there's a very narrow margin that the Republicans have in the House. If they can't produce results, they'll be kicked out. And maybe they know that and we can get some action.
Have you reached across the aisle to speak with any Republicans yet about the particular legislation?
Not on this bill. I'm working on the Farm Workforce Modernization Act, which was bipartisan in the last Congress. I'm hoping that we can get that bipartisan group together, introduce that, and move on from there.
Has there been any discussion on the messaging in particular around immigration? Has there been any discussion of reclaiming the term amnesty? It seems like any relief measure that gets offered gets cast as an amnesty, whereas the registry bill is actually, in essence, the Reagan amnesty. It's a very Christian term.
It's the Nixon amnesty.
It's a very, it's a very Christian term that's been co-opted by the right. On the progressive side of things, is there any effort to just sort of like avoid that pitfall within the rhetorical dynamic and claim it to be what it is?
Let me just address this, because, when I hear the word amnesty, I think that's how the library gets its overdue books back, right? So, I mean, you can throw these terms around, but the fact is, and the reason why we've reflected the 1929 Act, this is nothing new. People have immigrated to this country from the very beginning. My grandfather came here. How did he come? He got on a boat. The boat sailed to the United States. He got off the boat. That was the whole process. So to say that somehow, we can't do what our forefathers did, somehow that's wrong, I don't think that's American.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? No. Thank you so very much to all the members of the press who joined us. Thank you to all the organizations and our leaders. And most importantly, thank you to our champions, especially Representative Zoe Logfriend. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
¿Qué queremos? ¡Permiso! ¿Cuándo lo queremos? ¡Ahora! ¡Permiso! ¿Cuándo lo queremos?
¡Ahora!
¡Queremos!
¡Permiso!
¿Cuándo?
¡Ahora!
¿Quiénes somos?
¡Somos Chirla! ¡Somos Chirla! Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Y estabas nerviosa.
Gracias por estar aquí.
¿Se realiza ahí?
Ah, sí.